All right, let's bring on my buddy, Anthony Blevins, former Giants assistant coach. Now, here's the amazing part of what you did, Blev. Okay. 2018 to 2022, you stretched three different regimes, right? Pat
Yeah.
Shurmur, Joe Judge, Brian Daboll. How did I like that? That's pretty rare in today's NFL to stretch different regimes. How'd you make that happen?
Man, you just come into work, you just put your head down, you don't say nothing to anybody, and you stay out of all the trouble. Man. Like, just keep your name out of the mess. So that's really the key to it. Is just, don't get involved, don't be a part of this clique, don't be a part of that clique. Just kind of go in, do your work, and then we had good players. We played really good on teams the first 2 years on the Pat Shurmur. Then I go to defense, and I work with Jerome Henderson, who obviously just got let go.
We'll get to
Work with
that in a
him.
few minutes here.
Yeah, Bradbury goes to the Pro Bowl. The next year, I go work with outside backers. Aziz Ojulari, he's a rookie, he has a great year for a rookie. So, when you have that production and you just do your job, that's the way to survive. And I think there with the Giants, the ownership really kind of pays attention to who is on staff, what are they doing, how are the players playing for this particular coach or that particular coach. And I think they take notice, and that's really the secret to it. Just go in, do your job, and don't worry about any of the outside noise that's going on in the building or outside of the building.
It's interesting. So you say that about ownership. I'm curious because you were in Arizona before that. Is that different than other places you've been? You've done summer stuff with the Bears. Like, is that different in that respect that the ownership is looking at those things?
Yeah, I think so. I think John's at practice majority of the time, so he's out
Yeah,
there
pretty
watching.
much
He's
every
a
day.
football guy, so he understands what's going on. He sees what's going on. He sees the interactions with players, coaches. So I think it's a little bit different. It was definitely different from my time in Arizona. The ownership would come out to Arizona, maybe come to practice once a week or so, where John's in the building and on the practice field just about every day. If he's in town, he's on the practice field.
Yeah. Yeah. Some
So
may some may say that's problematic that he's around too much, but hey, that's another topic for another day. I'm curious. So, what was it like to work for those three regimes? Like, how would you describe it? Like, how different was it? Like, so you got Shermer, then Judge, who I think was the hardest on the coaches, probably, and then Dable.
yeah, yeah. Pat was good. Pat was a genuinely good guy. He really wanted what was best for the coaches, what was best for the players. He just had a different way of going about it. His personality was a little bit different. He could be very combative, but his combativeness came from a passion, I think, where he just wanted everybody to do well. I really like Pat, but Pat was not confrontational. At times where he needed to be confrontational, where we had DeAndre Baker, some of those young DBs, like, if there were times where things would happen and, he would tell a story, but wouldn't do anything about it. Like
Right, right, right.
everybody gets a story, but sometimes you got to lay the hammer down, especially on young rookies, I believe, to say, hey, this is how it's done. This is the culture that we have. If you're late, this is what's going to happen. If you miss practice, this is what's going to happen. And I'm not saying that those things happen, but just an example. Uh, Joe was definitely the culture shock when he came in. It was
Right.
completely just different. It was completely different from anywhere I had ever been. Uh,
Probably too
Joe
hard
had
from a player perspective, at least. Like that was always a complaint of the players that he was too hard on them.
Yeah, and I found this out like after the fact, after Joe was let go, and actually Daboll was the coach at this particular point in time. Talking to the players, they called the facility the East Rutherford Correctional Facility during that time, just because like they were there all day. They Everything was done to just eat up time, and it was just
What
unbelievable.
that
Some of the stories that the players told.
the correctional facility? Like what? That they were there too long? They were working too
Yeah,
hard?
it just
Too
felt
many
like
hours?
jail. It just felt like
Oh,
jail for them.
oh,
They were
that's what they
just
called it. I gotcha.
yeah,
East
yeah,
Rutherford Correctional Facility.
yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
Oh,
yeah.
babe.
So and then Dave's comes in, and it's refreshing again. Football becomes fun again. Like he's got a fun personality.
He's a
You know,
player-friendly coach for sure.
player friendly. very, he's got, he does all the magic tricks with the cars and kind of an icebreaker type of deal. So it kind of brings everybody off edge a little bit. And then you can kind of get into football. But that first year I was there, we went to the playoffs, we won. But I think that was part of Dave's magic, if you will, the card magic. It just brought everybody down and you were able to get the football, and it wasn't this, hit you in the nose every time something happened. So
Yeah.
so they were all different, but different for different reasons.
You have a favorite memory with the Giants over those years? Is there anything what
I
stands out
I
for you?
I have two. I have two. One was the playoff year, the playoff run we had. Obviously when you win, you have success, it makes it fun.
The
That
ultimate
was
deodorant.
the ultimate deodorant, covers everything up. And then the second memory was in 2019 when DJ comes on the scene. He gets hurt. Eli comes in. We play Miami. We win Miami. And to see Eli get that curtain call, and the fans, they show their appreciation. Eli Manning,
Pouring rain. Oh,
Eli Manning.
miserable day.
So that was
Weather-wise.
yeah, weather-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was probably, those are my two biggest memories as far as just playing football there in New York. Just those two.
You were there for that 2022 season, right? Then
I
you
was,
leave.
yeah.
Then you leave. So you're watching from afar. How
Yeah.
surprised are you at how it's fallen apart since then? Like, were there cracks that maybe was camouflage? Like, what are you thinking from a distance when you see that?
Yeah, I think we were not like a Super Bowl caliber team that year. Let's
Right.
be
I think
honest. We
everybody
were
agrees
not.
with that.
You
Everybody
know,
agrees with that.
we were probably where we were, a borderline playoff team. I think the schedule helped us a little bit. I do believe that Tennessee win, where we're down like 10 at
Week
halftime,
one.
nothing's
Yep.
going right. We come back and win. We go for two to win it in regulation, and they miss a field goal. I think we ride the momentum going into the bye week. I think we were 7-2 going into the bye week.
Got the
And
ball rolling.
then the ball rolling. We had some injuries, some things caught up to us. And I think going into the playoffs, I think on the back stretch, we were 2-5 down the stretch. So I don't think we were a great team. We were probably an average team. So when you're an average team, you win close games, you play good situational football. I think what has happened is now the flip side has happened. Still playing close games, but you're losing those close games. So those are examples where it could go either way. Because like that Tennessee game, they had an opportunity to kick the field goal and win it. They just missed it. And we started riding the momentum off that game one. And we've been in some of those games before. Under Joe Judge, we go to Washington. We got a chance to win the game. They missed the field goal. They call us for offsides. Then they kick it, and they win the game. So we've had those type of moments. They just always went against us when I was in New York. And this particular year, those moments went for us. So that was the difference. So it was always cracks in the roster, far as, O-line holding up, injuries. Those have always been a question there while we were in New York.
You leave in 2022. I'm curious. So you take a head coaching job in the
Correct.
XFL with the Las Vegas team.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come to fruition. The Las Vegas team doesn't end up playing the next year. You have any regrets about how that played out for you?
The only regret I have is I didn't get another year in my pension.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't really, I don't have regrets. I think at the time it was a decision I had to make. It was an opportunity. As a special teams coach, you don't get many opportunities to be a head coach. So for me, it was an opportunity to take a position, show people that I can coach and lead a group of men and lead from the front of the room. I think in that building in New York, they always respected me for what I was able to do with my group. But showing that I could put a team together and lead men to a championship, it's still pro football. And I think I had to do that at that particular point in time. It's been hard trying to get back in the league now I think it might have been easier if I'd have just stayed that year and then, been easier maybe to go to another team, but that's all hindsight. But I do think at that particular point in time, without having a crystal ball to be able to look down the road, I think it was the right move. Still, 2 years later, I still think that's the right move.
You mentioned before you were this, special teams, assistant special teams coach. Then you jumped to, you added DB, assistant DB coach, and then you added assistant outside linebackers coach at one point. How
Right.
much of that was your choice? How much of that was the situation of how it played out? And from a coaching perspective, why do guys do that? Do you try and stick with special teams? Do you want to get away from special teams to have a bigger, broader knowledge?
Yeah, I think for me it was like the goal was always to be a head coach, and knowing that like it hasn't happened. John Harbaugh did it. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Joe Judge did it, but they had to move to a different position for it to happen. The only guy that's done it in NFL history is Frank Gant Sr. He's the only one that went from special teams coordinator to head coach. So history tells you, as a special teams coordinator, it's probably not going to happen that way. Even though people, you talk to the team more than anybody, the entire team more than anybody other than the head coach. You talk to the O-line, you talk to the defense, you have a bigger pulse or bigger feel for the team. It just doesn't happen. It's not a sexy enough call as a offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. That's just what it is. Excuse me. But so for me, the goal was to be a head coach. I think it was the right move to the defensive side of the ball in order to try to accomplish that long-term goal.
Yeah, I was in Philadelphia. I believe Harbaugh went to be a safeties coach, I think it was, or
Mm-hmm.
DB's coach in some shape or form. And obviously, the best example of that, Bill Belichick was once in the special teams coach for the Giants originally. He goes
Correct.
over, obviously becomes a defensive coordinator. Speaking of defensive coordinators, we're looking at the Super Bowl right now, and you see Spags having the success that he's had, right, with the Chiefs. Spags, you worked with him. He was here as well, right? He was there during that time? Was
No,
he there
I
in
didn't
18?
work with
So
Spags.
17 was his last year here, actually.
17 was his last year. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
work with Spags. I know of Spags through stories and people have told, what people have said around the building. Like he is a unbelievable person. When I've met him in passing, and he talked to me like I'd known him for 20 years. And first time I ever met him. So that type of personality to me shows why he's having the success that he's having in Kansas City. Obviously, they got good players, Chris Jones,
Right. Nobody's
Justin Reed,
successful without good players.
without
They need
question.
players.
Uh, but like, I mean, Spags, what he's done, Spags, Dave Merritt, probably the two most decorated assistant coaches in all of football. I think this is, if they win ring number 5, I believe it'll be something like
Yeah.
that.
He's got 3
So,
in
I mean,
KC, one with the Giants. This
yeah,
will be number 5 as the coordinator, which is unheard, which is he's setting a new standard. No one's done that before for a coordinator.
without question. I mean, he's setting, as far as an assistant or a coordinator, he's setting the precedent for a Hall of Fame induction speech.
Yeah,
That's what he's doing. And
agreed.
I mean, he's having, like his career is unmatched as an assistant. He needs to be able to get a head job, win a Super Bowl that way, and then like all arguments are off. Like
Right.
he's up there in the GOAT
Yeah,
conversation.
then he's all-time great coach, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in those conversations with, he's one of the greatest coaches ever to live.
Yeah.
The other side of that Super Bowl, Saquon. What do you think when you see his success, right? Obviously, he was a great player, especially early on with the Giants. You were there for most of that.
Mhm.
It didn't work out here the last few years. It kind of seemed to be going in the wrong direction. And now the reascension to, off the charts kind of deal. What do you think when you see that? And why do you think the Giants weren't able to get that from him?
Well, one, like I'm really happy for Saquon. Saquon is a great person, a great teammate. He was loved in that locker room. He was loved in that building. Secondly, like the talent was always there. Like his rookie year was unbelievable. Every
No
every
doubt.
game you look around is like you're looking at somebody on the sideline. Did he do what I think he just did? Because my eyes have to be lying to me. There's no way he just hurdled a guy.
That
Like there's no
Eagles game,
way.
he had some runs. Holy cow. That Eagles game his rookie year. Woo.
Yeah, and so I'm really happy for him. And like I said, the talent was there, but and he would have had success in New York. Would he had 2,000 yards? No, not even close. He would have got 1,000, just because you force feed him, and he would have broke off some long runs. But the success that he had this year in Philly behind that offensive line, who is arguably probably as a tandem the best five offensive linemen in the league as a group. So I'm really happy. Uh, you know it was there. That's why we took him number 2 overall. I mean, he's a game changer, and I think the Giants they'll say whatever, but they will. I think this will go down in history in 10, 15 years from now. It'll be a 30 for 30, and it'll be the trade that keeps John Mayer up at night or something. It'll be titled something like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Free agent
Because
signing. Yeah,
a
exactly.
free agent and I get it. Like you pay a quarterback, you don't want to pay a running back because of the devalued position, but as you see, Philadelphia is doing it with a quote unquote devalued running back, and so I'm happy for him. I really hope they can win it. Like I as a Giant guy, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I really hope they do. I really hope they do win it just for Saquon and what he's gone through, the injuries, all of that. I really hope that he can
What
win it.
obviously, I mean, I tell people that all the time. You root for individuals, not teams,
Hmm.
essentially, right? Because you like human beings, like you develop
Yeah.
relationship with these people. So that's what you end up rooting for as you move along. Like
Yeah.
people, hey, look, I like that guy. He's a good dude. I'm friends with this guy. I want to see him have success. With
Right.
Saquon, I'm curious from a coaching perspective because I remember we've had this conversation before. That 2022 offense, it ran through him. He was the
Correct.
guy. What and you leave after that, but from a distance, what did you think when they didn't sign him that offseason? Because I think it opened a lot of people's eyes like, hey, how are we not paying this guy? This is our guy.
Yeah. I really thought like you said, the offense ran through him. He was 40% of the offense. I mean, you didn't have anything on the outside at that time. You had Isaiah Hodgins, you had
Yeah, Hodges and
Wendell
Slayton.
Robinson. He got hurt towards ACL or something like that.
Richie
And then you
James
had
was your slot receiver.
Richie James, who
Good
had
year.
a good year. He had a respectable year, but nobody was dynamic. Nobody was there to say, you know what, we better double this guy. We better play off coverage so they could load the box on Saquon and key him. And that's what teams did. I think when we went through that stretch of, when we won on the back end, we went 2-5. That's what teams did. It's like, hey, if you're gonna beat us, Isaiah Hodgins is gonna have to beat us. Darius Slayton's going to have to beat us, and that's no knock to any of those guys. They're just not Saquon. Like
Right.
Saquon is a playmaker. He's a difference maker, and when you have a difference maker, that's what teams are going to do. They're going to take away that playmaker for you and make you. If you're going to beat them, you got to beat them left-handed.
Yeah.
So
Obviously, didn't happen long term for him there. And now he's in Philadelphia having great success. And the way I've been describing it, it's like some Giants fans like we don't care anymore. Like you might not care anymore, but like when you have this, supermodel girlfriend and it doesn't work out and you break up, like you don't want her, like you don't want the algorithm on social media putting her with her new boyfriend on your page every single day. Right. So,
yeah,
and everybody talking about it. And that's
yeah,
that's like kind of the situation the Giants fans in right now. It just gets
yeah.
flaunted in their face. And there's just no way around it. Um,
Yeah. Hey, can you imagine? Can you imagine if you had actually broke Eric Dickerson's record? Can
yeah,
you imagine what
against the
would be like
Giants.
against the Giants? Like the last game of the year, if they had actually played and that game had meant something and he had to play.
Yeah,
Could you imagine what it would feel like in East Rutherford or North New Jersey
I
right
mean
now?
it's bad enough already, though. That's the thing. Like you're just saying, oh, it get worse. It's almost like you think can't get worse, and you always think things can't get worse, and then it
Yeah.
keeps getting
They
worse.
get worse.
And you're like, hey, how did that happen? Speaking of which, I was surprised a little bit, but like you saw it as the season was going on, and it was kind of going to go in this direction that he was going to end up the scapegoat. I'm talking about Jerome Henderson here. You
Yeah.
worked with him. Uh, I know you have a very good relationship with Jerome. What did you think when you saw that, he was the one, because remember, it was 1 year ago he's interviewing for the defensive coordinator job here. So
Right.
you obviously have enough respect for him that you think he might be the defensive coordinator, and the next year he's fired.
Yeah. I can't say I was shocked, but at the same time, I'll say I was shocked. I really thought with everything that went on, you keep some continuity. Jerome's an excellent football coach, by the way. He's an excellent football coach. He's an excellent person.
What makes him a good
Uh,
football coach?
his attention to details, his attention to fundamentals, uh, and then on top of that, he played the game. He played the position. He played corner. He's played nickel. He's played safety. So he has a wide range of experience to teach from in that. And not only from a player standpoint, he's coached for so long, coached in Dallas, the Jets, Cleveland, been around some top level DBs. So he's got the coaching background to it too. But his attention to detail on especially third down, the techniques, the fundamentals, like he's probably one of the top level DB coaches in this league. One of the top level DB coaches I've been around for sure. I wish I never played in the league, but as a college athlete, I wish he was my DB coach. I mean, he's that good.
Right. He's teaching
And
stuff
he
that you just didn't get at that level.
didn't get, and he has the ability to take all of the fluff out of the defensive stuff and break it down where you know exactly what you're gonna do. This is what you're gonna get. He's excellent schematically, and I was really pulling for him last year to get the defensive coordinator job because I thought he would be excellent. The way he communicates, the way he relates to people, I really thought he would be an excellent choice to be the defensive coordinator there in New York.
Yeah. I think they're probably going to say that, they wanted Shane Bowen to bring in his own guys and sort of mold it in the way that he wanted to. But,
Right.
It is
Yeah.
what it is.
I mean,
Go ahead.
that's always going to be the case when a new coordinator comes in, doesn't have the success that he wants. Okay, now we'll give you a chance to get your assistants in here, whoever you want, or at least give you some say so. This guy, that guy. So I can see that, especially when it doesn't go well. I just wish uh, you know they didn't make a scapegoat out of Jerome.
Right. Yeah. And there's no changes except for basically Jerome Henderson and Mike Trier.
Correct.
It's a tough look, especially when Jerome, and I'll say this, you don't have to say it, he was the one who wanted to, it seemed, put the foot down and discipline some of these younger guys when things were going off the rails. And it was kind of, we're taking care of it behind the scene, and then they're rolling them out again. They're rolling them out again and rolling them out again. So, I wanted to ask you, because you live in Dallas, so you were kind of in the Shrine game. I know you
Mhm.
weren't there for that long at the practices and stuff, but I'm just curious,
Mhm.
what did you think of the Shedeur Sanders buzz? That's the name everybody wants to know about.
All right.
What the Giants going to do at quarterback? Daboll and him are chatting it up, yucking it up.
Yeah.
What's the buzz around him when you were at the practice?
Like I like Shedeur, I really do. I like his personality. Now he didn't practice. He
No,
was
I know.
there at
Right.
practice, watching some of his Colorado teammates, but just kind of how he carried himself. I really kind of watched his body language, really positive with his teammates. I call them teammates, even though he was not practicing.
Right.
But I like he's got some natural leadership qualities about him, like really natural that, it just comes off. Like he's not even trying, it's just who he is. So I think he would be an excellent choice for the Giants if they took him. Now, I think there's some things you got to clean up. I think he does hold the ball too long. He kind of reminds me in that aspect of Caleb Williams, who was
I
in
agree with that.
Chicago,
Yeah.
holds the ball, kind of always looking for the big play. Sometimes, you got to throw it away and get the 2nd and 10. Sometimes that's the play that you have to make. So that's the only thing. I think he throws a nice catchable ball. I don't know about his arm strength. I don't think he has, elite arm strength, but I do think
Isn't
he's
that
accurate.
overrated, though? Haven't we got to the point where we realize the guys that throw the ball 100 miles per hour, that's not what makes you a great quarterback. It
It's not
doesn't
what makes you a
hurt, but
great. That doesn't hurt. Like when you play up in Jersey in the Meadowlands, that wind gets to whipping, and when you throw a soft ball, sometimes the wind can just take the ball and you know, can take it in where you're not as accurate as maybe you were if your arm was just a little bit stronger to cut through the wind. And that's my only thing in New York, other than holding the ball too long and not having just the greatest arm strength. But to your point, like if you're down somewhere in Miami or Tampa,
Or in one of
like
these
I think
domes.
in a dome, because I don't think Drew Brees had the greatest arm strength, but he was very accurate. But most of his career he played in New Orleans, under controlled atmosphere, those type of things. So I do think that the the leadership is real, and I think that's what that place needs. They need leadership, especially from that position. But in order for any quarterback to be successful, they've got to they've got to shore up the offensive line. I mean and that's been a narrative for even before I got there. It's the
Before I
offensive
got
line.
here. I mean, we were on, I would say I just had a year. We're so basically since like 2013. So what we're at year third, this is season 13 of trying to fully fix the offensive line.
Yeah. So, but that's going to be the key to any, especially young quarterback success, but really any quarterback success is how often does he get hit? Because I thought DJ was going to have a really good career in New York, but he got hit so often, so early, and and when you get hit early and often, your eyes doesn't see the coverage, your eyes sees the rush, and I think that affected DJ a ton more than people probably want to say.
Right. And he kind of, yeah, got into that habit and just was never really able to get back to the young quarterback. Because if you go watch that first game, like
Yeah.
the excitement for that first game and the way some of the throws he made that I remember down in Tampa Bay, you're just like, wow,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
this guy's going to be it. Like, this is it. This is a guy you can build
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. The legend of Danny Downs was born that day,
It was.
and that was another going back earlier. That was another fun game because we were down. Most of the game we were down, and we came out of halftime. He hit, I think Evan Ingram, big long touchdown. Hit
Mhm.
Darius Slayton on another. Wasn't a touchdown, but it was another
Down to the
big
one.
game. Down to the one. And then the quarterback scramble for the touchdown, the go ahead touchdown, and then Tampa misses a field goal that would have won the game for him that year. So that was another fun game. Yeah, that may have been the hottest game I've ever coached in. While I was in New York, like it was so hot that day.
Really? These are
Yeah,
the
it
things.
was
These are the things you
it was
remember.
smoking. Yeah.
See, from a media perspective, we don't remember that. We sit in the nice air conditioned box. They give us food. We don't gotta worry about that.
Eating cookies and hot dogs.
You're not lying. You're not lying. Let's finish with this. We'll play a little game, right? Because you span
Okay.
3 regimes. Which coach would, and then I'll give you a scenario. You tell me which coach would be most likely to ask you about your family? Judge,
Dave,
Shurmur, or Daboll?
probably Dayball.
Daboll?
Yeah.
Which coach would be most likely to take everyone out to dinner and have like a group outing? Shurmur, Judge,
Oh,
or Daboll?
that's a good one. That might be a tie. That might be a tie. And Shermer and Daves. That might be a tie.
Which coach is most likely to pop into your meeting, right? Your position groups meeting or special teams meeting. Who was in there the most?
Oh, special teams meeting? Probably Joe.
Which one was most collaborative with the other coaches? Right?
uh,
More like peer working as a peer almost at times than rather than boss.
ooh,
Shermer,
ooh.
Judge, or Daves?
Probably I would. Oh, that's a tough one. I would say probably Pat. I would probably say Sherm. Yeah.
Who's most likely to crack a joke in meetings?
Oh, Daves for sure.
Yeah.
Like they're not even close. Yeah.
So there we go. So wait,
Yeah.
so what was Judge? Where does Judge fall into it?
Uh,
What was
like
his thing?
it was military. It was straight
Really?
military. It
Your
was
work. It was work.
it was work. It really was like you come in and you got so much stuff going on. Like you come in at whatever time, and like I mean, when you hit your desk, like you're head down, you're just working.
So longest
Uh,
hours was definitely Judge. No doubt about
oh yeah, yeah. That's the
it.
longest I've ever worked. I mean, it was times where like you getting home at 1 o'clock, you're back in at 5. And I mean, it was stuff like that where you're barely sleeping. I
Oh
mean, it
boy.
was we worked some long hours.
So
You know,
you liked when Deb from a work life perspective, you liked when Dable came in for sure.
yeah, Daboll and Pat, they were more normal NFL. The best work life balance I've ever had was Bruce Arians. That was,
Wow.
Bruce was
He's
he was
known for
like it.
that.
Yeah, he was the best. He was like, if you're in the office past 10 o'clock, that means you haven't been working all day. I mean, that was kind of his deal. So I mean, it was nothing to. I would say most nights I was at home between 7 and 8, about every night, and I say that because we won. I mean, Bruce is the winningest head coach in Arizona Cardinal history. He was there only 5 years, but like his deal was he wanted coaches fresh. And when you're fresh, you have good ideas. You're more productive. You don't waste time. That was Bruce's deal. So,
To go
you
from
know,
that to Judge was like
yeah.
culture
So
shock.
yeah, like you're not productive when you don't sleep. You get brain fog, ideas come slower. You're watching film and you're like, man, I'm watching film, but I'm not. None of this is making sense to me. So when you don't get sleep, we talk about productivity of the players. They need sleep, they need rest. Well, everybody's a human being. You can't work 20 hours a day, get 4 hours of sleep, and think you're going to be productive at work. I don't think it works. That's just my belief. Because we're not machines. You're not
Yeah.
put a battery in and let's go. You need rest. You need clarity of mind, and you don't want to be sitting in the office and be all fatigued where you trying to sleep for 30 minutes. You just got to hide up under your desk, to close your
Right.
door and hide up under your desk. To me, that's non-productive.
That's why we're not in corporate America. We're not sitting there going into an office every day, leaving at 5 in the morning and coming home at 10 at night. That's
Yeah,
we chose covering and coaching football for a living.
yeah,
We want to do the fun and games part of it. So what's
yeah.
next? What's next for you?
Well, trying to get back into the NFL. That's really, my personal ambition right now is try to get back and get a logo. So I'm telling everybody I'm logo hunting right now. So, would like to be at the combine with the logo on. So we'll see. Got some traction, some movement potentially. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But that's really it. That's
Does it
that's all I've got going on right now.
does it matter to you at this point whether it's back to special teams or defense, or does it is
Well,
it are you just saying I want to coach?
I just want to coach really right now. Like in a perfect world, I would like to potentially be on defense because the goal is still to be a head coach. And I know where it comes from. It comes from the offensive defense side of the ball 9 times out of 10. Well, let's say 9.9 out of 10.
Right.
That's where it comes from. So that's the goal, is to be a head coach. But like in order to be a head coach, you still got to be coaching. Uh, so I'm open to just wherever, anywhere. So yeah, I'm open right now.
All right. Well, I hope it works out for you. We'll be keeping a close eye on it. Anthony Blevins, former Giants assistant coach, former NFL assistant coach. Appreciate your time, man. We'll do it again soon.
Hey, sounds good, Jordan. I thank you, man.
Thank you. On to the next one.
All right.